Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Luciana, this is my YouTube channel 24 horses per second, and today we're going to paint anime style light over this 3D render. Let's begin. I'm gonna use Photoshop, but you can use Photopea, which is free. I have my 3 render images. For my cap, I just opened the frame 1, not the entire animation. For copying the images onto the background, first select the layer, go to Layer, Duplicate Layer and choose the document where the background is. I'm gonna name my layer, and here it is. And this method is better than pressing Ctrl to select the offset, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste, because it doesn't get copied in the same place as you can see. I suggest you check some references out. That's what I did with this piece to find the type of light you would like to emulate. I'm gonna make 2 adjustment layers to change the hue and the exposure of the background a bit. For the bloom behind the cap, make 2 copies of the cap layer, select the one on top of the other 2 cap layers, go to Image Adjustment, Desaturate, and Color Burn as the blending mode. Select these 2 layers and merge layers. And I move it down because I want the bloom behind the object. Sadly, you can't see my settings. Don't blur it to match the image like this. This is too much. Choose a lower number, something subtler like this. You can barely see the blur in the border of the cap. Copy the layer and let's repeat. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and a screen as the blending mode for both layers. Lower the opacity for a subtler glow. Add a layer mask and make sure the mask is selected instead of the main layer. And now with the brush and black color, I'm just gonna erase where I don't want any glow. And if you change your mind, all you have to do is paint with white in that spot you just erased. That's the advantage instead of just using the eraser on top of the original layer without masking. You can lower the opacity of the brush if you don't want to erase it completely. Now for the other one. Because I'm gonna put some light rays later in here, I just wanted the glow on this side of the cap, like there's a window or a light source coming from here. A hue saturation adjustment layer, and you can't see my adjustment layer, but it should be here. And just pick a random striking color because we're gonna mask the glow to change its hue a bit, and it's easier to see the mask with a noticeable color. Select these 3 and make a new folder. Now Ctrl to select the cap, and now in the mask of the adjustment layer, paint it with black. Cancel the selection with Ctrl D or select deselect. Invert the colors with Ctrl I. And now that red color is just in the cap bloom mask. Ctrl again, but in the mask of the adjustment layer, and now go to select, modify, expand. And expand the mask a bit, maybe try with a 3 or a 5 depending on the size of your glow. And paint with white. These are my final settings for this adjustment layer. I painted the glow with a bit of yellow, and you could apply this to any other image. Maybe you have a night scene, so you could make a blue bloom effect, for example. Now the same steps for adding the bloom in the cake. Duplicate. Desaturate. Color burn. Merge. Screen as blending mode. Blur. duplicate, blur, change the opacity, mask, paint with black to erase, select with Ctrl, paint with black, deselect with Ctrl D, invert, and now change the settings to something more suitable than this red. I'm gonna erase a bit more of this bloom in the cake. And now in the cup I'm also gonna erase a bit of the bloom. I'm gonna blur the background a bit with the Gaussian blur. Change the blending mode to lighter color, and again making a mask, we're gonna erase with black the parts we don't want this effect in the background. Now for the light rays, choose the color you want them to be, and with a soft round brush just paint some lines in the direction you want. Screen as blending mode. Now with the motion blur effect, choose an angle and distance setting that make your rays look like they come from the direction you want them. And I moved the layer down because I wanted the rays to be just in the table. Copy the layer. This one is going on top, and the other one a bit more up. Blur the rays depending on how much you want them to blend. And now just change the hue, saturation and lightness to achieve the exact color you want. The rays were too yellow for me, so I made them a bit more copper. And now the same for the other layer. And now the eraser tool, or you could make a mask again and paint with black. This of course is a matter of preference depending on the style you want to achieve. And you can play with the opacity of the brush. New layer, screen as blending mode, and let's paint in this corner. Let's decrease the opacity. New layer, and let's paint with a smaller sized brush. Decrease the opacity. Let's blur. Erase a bit. I'm gonna select, copy and paste this part of the rays. I'm gonna erase the rays under the shadow because that doesn't make much sense. Let's put it behind the cake. And erase this ray I don't want. And under the plate. Let's decrease the opacity. And that's all. Here are all the layers so you can check the opacity of each and the blending modes and the adjustment layers. Then I just saved all my layers separately as PNG, except the render images I didn't make any changes to, the cake and the cap, because I just imported them in Photoshop as reference. In the next video, we'll import all these layers in the same order as this Photoshop file and add a glare effect in DaVinci Resolve, a free editing software. If you made it this far, thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!